Hey everyone, let's jump right into today's explainer. We're going to unpack a beautiful story called The Little Heart That Learned to Love. Now, at first glance, this might seem like a simple, charming little tale, but honestly, it holds a really profound psychological truth about human connection. It's this wonderfully distilled look at how we relate to the things we own and, way more importantly, how we relate to each other. So I want you to think about this for a second. Have you ever had exactly what you wanted, but still felt like something was just missing? Keep that question in the back of your mind as we go. It's a feeling most of us have experienced at some point, right? You finally get that thing you've been wanting or protecting, and the reality of holding on to it just doesn't match your expectations. Well, this is exactly where our story begins.
All right, section 1, A Boy and His Toys.
Let's meet our protagonist, Sami. He lives in this small, incredibly sunny town, and honestly, he's got the illusion of having it all. In the context of his world, the kid is incredibly wealthy. He's got lots of toys, colorful books, yummy treats, and his absolute favorite thing in the world, a bright red ball. Literally everything a child could possibly want. But right out of the gate, we see a critical flaw. Sami does not like sharing. His instinct is entirely focused on possession. Which brings us to section 2, the loneliness of keeping. Having stuff is one thing, but how we react when someone challenges our claim to that stuff, that is a whole different ballgame. Sami's friend Lena comes over to play, sees that incredible bright red ball, and softly asks, "Can I play with it too?" And Sami's immediate reaction? A sharp, "No, it's mine." He doesn't just say no, he physically guards his property. He hugs that ball super tightly, literally putting up a physical barrier between himself and his friend. And this just perfectly illustrates the immediate dramatic tension. Sami, quote unquote, wins the interaction, right? He successfully protects his treasure, but wow, there is a really steep cost here. Lena ends up going home quietly, feeling incredibly sad. Sami gets to keep his ball, but in doing so, he caused immediate isolation for both of them. He completely lost his playmate. This sets up a really fascinating miniature psychological arc that plays out over a very short time. We're going to track Sami's emotional journey across 3 distinct phases: the evening after Lena leaves, the following morning, and then later that same day. Let's start with the evening. Sami is sitting there all alone with his colorful books, his treats, and that tightly guarded red ball. But something feels off. The text tells us he whispers this really powerful realization: it's not fun playing alone. You can see the weight of his selfishness finally sinking in. Without the shared experience of another person, those physical objects, they've completely lost their magic. Moving on to section 3, a simple act of kindness. If that evening was all about realizing the sheer emptiness of isolation, the very next morning gives him an opportunity to change things. Sami looks outside and spots his neighbor, Grandpa Hassan, who is really struggling to carry some heavy bags. And there's this pause. Sami just stops for a second. In that pause, we witness a massive internal shift. He stops focusing on his own little world, looks at the needs of someone else, and runs over to help. And the reward for doing this? It isn't a new toy or a piece of candy. Grandpa Hassan smiles warmly at him and says, "Thank you, my boy. You have a kind heart." Because of that one interaction, Sami feels something entirely new, this warm, happy feeling just blooming inside him. He literally discovers a completely different type of wealth, one that has absolutely nothing to do with hoarding objects. Section 4, the joy of sharing. So, how does this newfound emotional wealth actually change his reality? Well, later that same day, the universe tests his new perspective. Lena comes by again. Think about her first visit. His reaction was super defensive, right? "No, it's mine." But on this second visit, armed with that fresh feeling of kindness, Sami smiles. He actually takes the initiative and asks her, "Do you want to play with my ball?" It is a total 180-degree transformation. And the result is just beautiful. When Sami offers to share, Lena's eyes completely light up with joy. She says yes. They play, they laugh, and they have so much fun together. Sami essentially proves to himself what he suspected the night before. Human connection and shared experiences are infinitely better than sitting in a room alone with your stuff. Which leads us to section 5, love as an action. While this is ostensibly a story about a kid and his red ball, it's actually a blueprint for how we build meaningful relationships. It breaks down into a really simple 3-step formula. Step 1, share. Sammy had to let go of that instinct to hoard and invite Lena into his world. Step 2. Help. He had to step outside his own immediate needs to ease Grandpa Hassan's burden. And step 3. Care. He had to recognize the feelings of others, like Lena's sadness or Grandpa's struggle, and actually act on them.
So that night, Sammy goes to bed. But notice the difference here. He isn't aggressively hugging his ball in fear of losing it like he did at the start of the story. Instead, he just hugs his pillow and smiles. His internal emotional state is rich, it's fulfilled, and his heart felt bigger than ever before. He willingly gave up control over his toy, and what he got in return was an incredibly expansive sense of happiness.
And that brings us to the ultimate takeaway of our explainer today. Love is not just some passive feeling that washes over you out of nowhere. It is an action. It's a verb. It is something we actively demonstrate by sharing our resources, helping out those in need, and just being kind to the people around us. It's a daily practice, and that goes for kids and adults alike. Think back to where we started. That idea of having everything but still feeling empty. Salmi found the absolute perfect antidote to that emptiness, and he found it through action. So the question I want to leave all of us with is this. How will you make your heart grow today? Who can you share with? Who can you help? Keep that in mind as you go about the rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will see you next time.